I'm going to get to Martin Luther King here in a couple of minutes. I want to start off with my former bank, Chase Bank. Now, I had the same thing at Bank for America quite a number of years ago. Somebody was embezzling funds out of my account. Instead of saying anything, I just closed the account and walked away from it. That was Chase Bank. I figured after a couple of weeks of trying to argue with them, of being constantly called a liar and having them lie to me, I just got sick and tired of it and figured there's no point in trying to argue with them. I've already got. I'll probably make one or two more videos explaining the situation there. The banks don't like that image to get out that they've got a thief in their, in at the bank. They'll tell them rather than fire them or charge them with a crime, they'll just tell them, hey, that's not good for our image. You really shouldn't be doing that. But anyway, like I said, I just got tired of that bank, and I've got to count with another bank now. But anyway, let me get to the dream. Now, the dream I had a couple nights ago. Somehow I was coming out of a store with a shopping cart full of stuff, and I was trying to think, now I parked 5 miles away from here. How am I going to get to the shopping cart, 5 miles? And then I started thinking, well, how did I get here? Did I walk for 5 miles? And about that time I woke up. Dreams don't have to make any sense. Now, another dream I had last night, somehow I was looking for this. I wanted to use the bathroom in an apartment. The vacant apartment is one of the ladies that I do work for. And I don't know why I just didn't use the bathroom in the place I was already staying at. Didn't make any sense. Now somehow this particular apartment I was looking for, it was an air handler. Like a furnace or an air handler was mixed up with a bathtub, and that makes absolutely no sense. But my dreams don't make any sense. But a lot of times I'll when I fall asleep listening to YouTube videos, those dreams I dismiss because your subconscious picks up on the video. So those dreams I don't make any don't make any sense anyway. The only dreams I put any value in is what dreams that I have when I'm not listening to anything. Just total silence in here. Now let me get to Martin Luther King. Now I like the guy. I respect him. I respect he was a man of peace. He was a God-fearing man that was a man of peace. As opposed to like Malcolm X was. He believed in violence. Martin Luther King believed in peaceful protest. Now, I don't know if this is a true story or not. Now, as story goes, Martin Luther King was going to give a rally and a speech in Chicago. He gave quite a few speeches, before. I'm going to get to his assassin here, or the individual that actually got charged for it in a couple of minutes. But anyway, the mayor, I think it was Chicago, but I may be wrong. Now, as this story goes, like I said, again, I don't know if this is true or not. Now the mayor had said, "Well, look, I really like to meet with this guy and have some serious discussions with him." So they did. They had sat down and the mayor said, "Look, I understand who you are. I understand your message, and I like you, and I really want to work with you, and maybe we can make some positive changes for the African Americans and or the other individuals too that are disadvantaged, within the city." And supposedly, Martin Luther King looked at him and didn't say anything. So I don't know. Well, I mean, obviously the answer is education and job opportunities, and there's quite a few current CEOs that started working at counter at McDonald's. There's quite a few CEOs that say, look, I started off in a very menial job and I worked my way through, get paid for education through a very menial job, and eventually I worked my way up and got a very very good job. And I think that's the American dream. That's the American way. Certainly respect that. Now, on Martin Luther King, I was a kid back in the '60s, and I kind of remember watching that. The protests, and some of them were peaceful, some of them were quite violent. Not, Martin Luther King didn't have any violent protests because that just wasn't his method. That wasn't his way. He would, believe in a peaceful protest. But I wasn't old enough, in the early '60s. I wasn't old enough to really understand much of that. Today I can kind of get it, and the world has changed radically since that time. And I'm glad that we live in a much better world for everybody now than we did back in the early '60s. Certainly a very interesting time back then. And I say again to Martin Luther King, I liked the guy, I respected him. Certainly a man of peace and vision. Okay, let's all stay interesting. Let's all stay curious out there. Okay, love y'all. Ciao. Vaya con Dios.